Audio is just as important as visuals. In this lesson, we will learn how to clean, adjust, and enhance our audio for a polished result. First of all, I have a collection which contains of 2 narrations, so let's drag it in. You can download this file to be able to follow along the lesson. So CapCut narration 1 and 2. Let's bring the first one. When you add an audio clip to your timeline, first select the audio clip in the timeline, go to the Properties panel and click on the Basic. We will later discuss about these two other. In the Basic panel, you will find several tools that help you polish your sound. First thing that you see is the volume or the gain control. This determines how loud your audio plays. If you increase the volume too much, the sound will start to distort. As I try to increase the volume by dragging this slider to the left and right, you will notice that the wave turns red. This means the audio is clipping, or in other words, the sound level is too high for the system to handle without losing quality. Clipping causes harsh, unpleasant noise and reduces the clarity of your audio. Let's click on these 3 dots in the audio track and set the track height to tall to see things clearly. I like to hold on Ctrl and middle mouse to zoom a little bit. On the other hand, if you lower the gain too much, your sound becomes too quiet and unclear, especially when you mixed with background music or effects. I advise that when adjusting your audio, make sure the volume doesn't hit the red zone. That's where distortion starts. Gain control or the volume control depends on the microphone that you are recording your audio. In this case, I will leave it at 0. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. CapCut makes video editing simple and powerful. Let's set it to 10. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. If I set to more than that, editing doesn't have to be complicated. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. Let's reset that by clicking on this icon. Below the volume setting, you will also find 2 very useful options: fade in and fade out. Fade in makes your sound start gradually. So instead of playing suddenly, the volume will slowly increase until it reaches full level. Let's set it to 1. Again, that's depend on your audio type. In this case, this is a narration, so I like to set it to 0. Or if my audio has a lot of gain, so I can just set it to 0.5 or 0.3. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. But if I just increase that, editing doesn't have to be complicated. So it starts from nothing, slowly to a level that I like, which is the volume of 0. Editing doesn't have to be complicated. The fade in is great for introductions, voiceover, or even you want to make your transition feel smooth. Below that we have the fade out, which does the opposite. It makes your sound gradually disappear instead of ending abruptly. Here I like to import 2 music. So let's bring them in the timeline. You notice that in the beginning of this music, it has that fade in, and the end of that we will see clearly the fade out for both of these musics. So now let's play. It slowly starts from nothing until it reaches the highest point. And the same thing. In the same way, you can use that for your voiceover or narrations. A quick tips: for most videos, a 0.5 to 1 second fade in or fade out works perfectly. Again, you can adjust the duration depends on your video clip's tone. Shorter for energetic videos. Longer for calm or cinematic ones. See you in the next video.